still remember the sound. It was late. The moon was sharp and white, but the world felt wrong because outside Amma's hut a shadow stood. It was taller than any man, blacker than the night, and it was scratching the dry earth with his stick. The sound he made was not wood on dirt. It was a low, dry rattle. It sounded like a pit full of angry sleeping snakes. It was the most terrifying thing I have ever heard, and I was watching it happen from my window. I am telling you this because no one ever believes me, but I was there. To understand this, you need to understand the dry time. 3 years. 3 years since the river was full. It wasn't just low, it was gone. The ground was hard, split open like old wood. The sun was a bully. We were starving, yes, but the real sickness was what the drought did to our hearts. We became small, selfish. I watched my own parents hide their last handful of beans in the roof thatch. No one looked out for their neighbor. Everyone was counting their own drops of water. Survival became a secret you kept. Then there was Amma. She was a widow. Her hut was the smallest. She had 2 little children, and by all rights, she should have been the most desperate person in the village. But Amma had a kindness that just did not make sense. When our fear grew, her heart grew bigger. She always found a way to share a piece of cassava, a spoonful of millet. She never said, "I have nothing." She always said, "There is enough for now." We called her foolish. We said she would waste her way into starvation. One late afternoon, the heat was still heavy. A man came walking down the road. He wasn't one of us. He looked like a skeleton covered in sunburnt leather. He was a traveler who had walked too far. He collapsed right by Amma's door. He couldn't speak, only made a dry sound and pointed at his mouth. He was begging for one sip. We all knew the truth. Amma had 1 water calabash left. It was her family's supply, enough to keep her children from severe thirst for maybe 2 more days. To give that water away was to sign a bad contract with the future. My mother grabbed my arm and pulled me back into the shadow of our porch. We watched. Amma walked over. She knelt down. She took the calabash. She didn't pray. She didn't look back at her children. She didn't even sigh. She just tipped the clay pot and let the traveler drink. He drank and drank, not polite sips, but long, painful gulps until the calabash was dry, empty. When he finished, he simply looked at her, nodded, and placed a tiny rough wooden bead in her hand. Then he stood up, suddenly steady, and walked away down the same dry road. Amma had given up everything, and the village was silent. We knew she was doomed. That night, my fear wouldn't let me sleep. I looked out, and that's when I saw the thing. The shadow that learned how to walk. It was just standing there, huge and silent. It wasn't moving, but it felt alive, heavy with unspoken power. I couldn't see its shape clearly, only that it was too tall and too dark. Amma was sitting on her stool, looking right at it. No fear in her eyes, only a strange calmness. Then the shadow stopped scratching the ground. It didn't walk away, it didn't fly, it just melted. The blackness concentrated, pulled itself into the earth like smoke in reverse, and where the shadow had been, there was the basket. It was big, woven from thick dry grass, and it was the source of that terrible dry hissing. It was the sound of something ancient and angry, but held still. It went on and on, a steady chilling hiss under the moonlight. Amma just sat, holding the small wooden bead. The next morning, the village woke up, not to the dry heat, but to a smell, a rich, sweet smell, the smell of rain and of food that had just been picked. Ami was standing by the basket, The hissing was gone. She was pulling out mangoes, fat, ripe yellow mangoes that hadn't grown here in years. She pulled out green maize, heavy and sweet. She pulled out yams, and the basket never looked less full. She would pull out a pile, and the depth inside looked exactly the same. Amma told her simply what she knew. The traveler was not a man. He was a spirit sent to test us. He took the water of survival to see what was left in her heart. And because she gave everything, she was rewarded with the basket that never emptied. Amma didn't become rich. She just became full. She shared the food just like she shared the water. Her reward was designed to fit her heart. Endless sustenance used only to keep sharing. I saw the shadow. I heard the hiss. I saw the cost. And then I saw the miracle. And I realized that the things we think we need to hold on to most tightly, like our last cup of water, are often the exact things we need to let go of to receive something truly great. The drought eventually ended, but the lesson of the hissing basket stays with me. Be kind even when you have nothing left, because you never know when a simple act of mercy is the only test you have left to pass. If you want of these stories, please like, subscribe, and click the notification button for the next one. Thank you.